the one.
Oh, okay. All right. Someone's talking to us.
There we go.
All right.
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Okay. So now,
Calvin,
all right,
go ahead.
I'm looking at the little mini. How do I get, there we go. There's the meeting back. So anyway, this is our May meeting for 2023, and this will be our final meeting till September. I've been busy sleeping. To make a long story short, guys, I'm still spending nights in a recliner, and I don't sleep well there. And I've been spending most of my day sleeping, so I didn't even put together an agenda because really didn't have much to go with on the agenda. Since you asked a while ago, Todd, I'll tell you that our subjects for next year are not going to be subjects kind of like what you're going to look at tonight, because tonight it was go shoot a locomotive, some type of a locomotive. Our subjects for next year are going to be more of using a different technique for each subject. For example, September is already, Raymond McGee's going to judge that one. We're going to be shooting negative space in our images. And then the rest of them we have are leading lines, repetitive patterns, low key, motion, juxtaposition, optical illusion and or forced perspective, pareidolia, Julie gave us that one, and then the symmetry. So each one we're trying to break out of the box a little bit of other than just going out and say shoot a barn, shoot a train, shoot a water pump. We're going to try to use a technique of photography to capture an image. With that being said, I was going to ask you, you want to judge one of these next year?
I can judge one of those for sure.
Okay, well, I'll send out a list. I believe I've got all our judges lined up. I just haven't assigned a month or any judges other than Raymond. He's going to do the one in September, which is negative space. And so that's kind of what we're doing, trying to challenge ourselves a little bit more as far as taking, going out and doing our photography. So, going down the road, we may try to push that envelope a little bit, try to expand. Because one I would like to try to get into is maybe using some type of processing technique with our photos. But I'll need to butt heads with several people to kind of figure out, what's the best way we could do something like that. Instead of saying we're going to go out and just do this again, now we're going to go another step further. Because one thing I've noticed in our discussions, we are having a lot of discussion around a certain technique or a process. And I think that's where a lot of people have got more questions. I have more questions about it, about how do I do this adjustment, or maybe we do one where we're working strictly with layers, or there's all kinds of things we can do there. So that may be the next stone down the road. I don't know, but other than that, I believe the Prairie Village photo exhibit or the art exhibit is on now. I'm not sure. I can't remember the closing date. One of our members, Marshall Ryman, is in that exhibit, and Kathy Moffett, she's got a couple of prints in that exhibit. That's out there at the Prairie Village
City Hall.
City Hall, yes, thank you, City Hall. Yeah, I was trying to remember the name of that gallery they've got him in, but yes.
Enders.
Go ahead.
It was an Enders gallery.
Yeah, okay, yeah. So, and I think that's gonna close sometime here in the next week or two, or sometime this month. But other than that, that's really. I was gonna see if anybody had any other exhibits or anything they wanted to announce they had coming up, or any news. Anybody? Nope. Oh, come on, James, you got an exhibit going somewhere?
No,
Nope.
I've got, right now, I'm having to focus more on my painting than I am doing with my photography.
Okay.
You still doing watercolors?
Yeah, I'm shooting for a couple of competitions, and then I've got a couple of commission pieces. But one of them is from is my large acrylic paintings. So I haven't done one of those now for maybe 10 years. So that's going to be like a whole new learning experience again. So
Wow.
boy.
Well, anyway, that's about all I have on my mind. So, Todd, at this point, I'm going to give it back to you.
Okay.
Take it away, and then, and if you got anything, like I say, you want to talk about any your work or whatever you got, whatever you're up to, feel free to share whatever you want with everybody.
Will do. Well, happy to be a judge again. I always appreciate this crew. You guys are always a lot of fun. It's been a lot of years, I think, since I've been judging, so this has been great. Yeah, just real quick, yeah, ironically, my world is moved more away from video and more towards stills now, and that's working with all the photographers at the Star. So I'm the deputy visuals editor now, which is I'm still in charge of the drone program, so I still have about 50 drone pilots that I work with across all of our 30 papers. But it's been kind of nice to talk more about photo than video. I've kind of gone back to my roots, so it's been fun. So anyway, I thought we'd go ahead and start. We have 5 entries in the assigned category and then 5 entries in the open category. And the assigned categories, you all know, was shoot a locomotive. So the first one we have up here from James Schultz. I will open it up for discussion and then I'll drop in a few comments. But if folks want to talk about what they like, don't like, could be better, whatever, fire away.
Jim, what did you? Go ahead.
I know this is yours, James. So yeah.
Yeah. I like old trains, and I
Yeah.
had the opportunity to go and shoot this guy. And anyway, it was a blast. It went by awful damn quick. So I was really, pleased with what I got out of the one still shot.
Mm-hmm.
Out of, let's see, I think I ended up with, I don't know, maybe 20, 25. And of course, some are too far away and some of them are going away. So anyway, the only thing that was tricky about this is that I was standing on a whole big pile of railroad ties to get up higher, and shared that location with about a dozen other photographers
Oh
and
no.
videographers. So
Yeah.
anyway, it was a blast. I'm sorry.
Whereabouts were you when you took this?
This is west of Bonner.
Okay.
Well, I like it. I mean, I like the print. It's got good contrast. There's a lot of detail, that you can examine in this picture, which is phenomenal. And I love the conductor kind of hanging out there too. It took me a moment to get to him. But that was a nice kind of surprise detail for me. Kind of like a little Easter egg. I'm like, oh, hey, the conductor's there. It's pretty cool.
I think one of the things that I was surprised at is that that it stopped the action as well as it did. And anyway, I don't know whether or not it's good or bad, but the lack of actual motion, it seems to me like it's just sitting there as opposed to just, as opposed to moving. But
Right.
anyway,
Yeah, it would have been tricky with a slower shutter speed. I mean, you wouldn't have gotten so much detail,
right. Yeah.
in here. So it would have been a trade-off. But I mean, I think kind of with the smoke up here, that keeps it from being like kind of a totally static shot. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Okay. Any other thoughts, folks? All right, we'll move on. Tom's image here of a aero train. Tom, where was this?
This is at the St. Louis Transportation Museum.
Okay.
It's out in West County. And the history on this, it was built by General Electric Locomotive Division. And it was designed to be a lighter weight, less expensive locomotive for a passenger locomotive.
Okay.
And they only built 3 of them.
Huh.
This is number 3. They tried to market it to other train companies, and it just didn't fly. The cars itself, I don't have a picture of the cars behind it, the passenger cars, but they were very cramped and small. They were kind of described as kind of almost like the size of a bus.
Hmm.
And it was being so lightweight, it bounced around. It was very uncomfortable. So it never did fly as far as any commercial use at all. But it's kind of an unusual, futuristic looking locomotive. So
Yeah, for sure. No, it's I kind of like the lines on it. I mean, I like the slope here. This is fun.
mhm.
But I love the horns.
Yeah, they made that train to look more like a car going, like an automobile, but the
Absolutely.
shape of that bridge, that hood. Yeah, that's really a cool train. Supposed to be sleek and modern.
Mm-hmm.
What years was that?
That was it was built in 55. And I guess they started building in 55. They started demonstrating it in 58. And they tried to use it between Chicago and Joliet, Illinois. But again, they found out that it was just very uncomfortable and cramped, and nobody wanted to buy it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
That's real interesting. What are anyone's thoughts on maybe a different composition, or just any thoughts on what you might have done differently with this photograph? I'm just kind of curious.
Well, I'll throw my 2 cents in. I think he's got a good angle on this because the light hitting the top of the cab, hitting the front sides of and down along the side of the locomotive,
Yeah.
really brings out a lot of the highlights and the shape of it, and it's not blown out. At least from what I can see on my phone, it looks really good. But I like his angle there. I like the way he's got this thing framed. It'd been nice, if you I got it out on a rail somewhere out in the boondocks. But it is what it is. But the building is not that big of a distraction. But I think he's got a really good angle on this thing and a really good. I think he did a great job with getting the shot on it.
Now, I walked around and took angles from other spots, and there was a lot of noise in the background from the other side of the train, and a lot of clutter. And so I just couldn't get a nice shot except for this one here, and I had to kind of cut off the cars because if I'd have backed up more, then it would have had a lot more clutter in the background. So it is what it is.
Sure. But I really like the way you got the light highlighted on the curves on going down along the side of it, because that really brings out a lot of the shape of it. Because that front end is supposed to look like, well, say the whole thing is supposed to be more like a car or an automobile than it was a train. And that could have been one of its downfalls too, because everybody looked at it and thought, it was, they didn't take it serious, I don't think. Like I say, it had some design flaws in that were built into it also. Yeah, I remember my younger brother telling me about this. He built one of these on his model railroad, and he was telling me all kinds of stuff about this thing. And I thought, man, wow.
Huh.
And yeah, he could sit there and just spit right down, stem to stern, every part of it. He knew this thing inside out.
Cool.
Yeah, I think the only thing I would do, and it looks like you might have done some of that already, is maybe just burn down the building. Bring down the values on the building. I shouldn't say burn it down because that's arson.
I don't think they'd have taken kindly to me doing that, but
Yeah, exactly. But you could probably add a little more separation, just by bringing down the values on this building, without what we kind of called it the hand of God back in the day, when we would like make our prints so that they would reproduce well on the paper, and it literally looked like you had the hand of God like over someone's face, because you like really tried to bring the values up because
yeah.
things get knocked down in the paper. But but just kind of adding, like just bringing that down a little bit and maybe bringing down the grass just a little bit. But I think Calvin's right. It's obvious that you walked all around this and you found, a nice angle.
Yeah, and on the other side too, I was down lower, so I was taking more of a shot up at it, and that
Right.
that didn't look good at all.
Yeah.
And there's some other crap that they have hanging on the train on the other side, like a little bell and stuff like that. That I don't know why that was there, but anyway. So I thought this was more the way it was meant to look.
For sure. Well, it's nice. All right, Dennis. I don't think Dennis is on the call, is he? I don't see him.
I think he's working tonight.
Okay. I'm always drawn to like really contrasty prints. This is really nice. It's a nice detail. Really shows the grease, the workings, of this mechanism. So I was drawn to this immediately. Other thoughts?
Got a nice contrast, between the cast iron and the looks like, either polished aluminum or stainless steel.
Mm-hmm.
Like you say, there's a nice contrast between that. Yeah, it's a good shot.
I can feel the grease, if you know what I mean. It's like I feel like I can reach out and touch it, which I really, really, really like about this.
Yeah, I forget what they call that rod, the bright colored rod with the big slot at the end of it.
Mhm.
That's that rod, when that shifts down, that's what turns those wheels in reverse. It's a real simple mechanism. It makes that train go forward or reverse just by shifting that rod up or down. I've shot, I've got in my portfolio shots I've taken of drive wheels and drive mechanisms, all these little steamers, and the machinery, the detail in these things is just unbelievable. How many parts, how many separate parts there were just to make this thing work. I like shots like this too, where you're getting in there and you're getting the detail of the mechanism or the moving parts that are needed to make this thing work.
Well, it's interesting because I'm always drawn to whatever is brightest in a photograph. So, I get drawn to these, whiter parts, but yet there's enough of this iron here with the oil grease on it, that I mean, kind of pulls me in here. And then I follow these lines down. So, I mean, I do like that composition. Because my eye goes here and then I actually kind of trail down and kind of look, into this area. So I think it's pretty well done. I mean, I might have backed up just a tiny bit and kind of played around a little bit more. You've got some really nice shapes here on the right hand side, that are kind of circular. And if you'd gotten like maybe, I mean, in my mind, I'm kind of like pushing in a little bit and then like twisting, a little bit to my right, to just capture more of this. And then maybe use these lines, leading lines or vanishing lines, whatever you want to call it. Sorry. To kind of trail away a little bit from right to left. But just my thought.
What if you had reversed that?
I'm sorry?
What if you had reversed it, flipped it horizontally?
So shot from back here, looking back the other
No.
way.
Well, just flip the whole image to where you have the bigger parts to the left side of because I don't see anything in there that would say, okay, you got this backwards. That way, then maybe you would see, if you are always entering usually the photo from the left, that your eye would then be drawn across the image. Follow what I'm
Yeah,
But,
no, I mean,
trying to explain?
yeah,
Whether or not that, how it would work that way, just for giggles. I mean,
yeah. I mean, it certainly would be an interesting thing to try. It does feel, I mean, I do like the full weight of the machinery on the right, and then kind of having that trail off, to me feels natural. But yeah, I mean, always, of course, try the different angles, but
well, with those bigger parts there, it kind of stops and keeps you from falling off to the right.
right,
That's why, a lot of times, especially like, like a landscape, you want something vertical.
sure,
There on the edge to keep you from traveling right across and leaving.
for sure. For sure. Yeah, no, it's interesting thought. All right, we'll move on. Bill,
Yes.
this is
Well,
fun. Talk to us. I like it.
I couldn't, some of my train pictures were too old for the contest. And I didn't know of any trains in the area. So this is a train that I had when I was a little kid. It's, I think they used to call it tin plate. It's like the metal that had tabs. And
Right.
anyway, then I paired it with a car because, comparison of size, I think that's probably about right. Train is about O gauge size. Anyway,
I liked it. It was unusual, and I like seeing the scale. I like the light on the train as well. I mean, I think you did a nice job lighting it. I think it's fun. I mean, it says something, right? It's like, how big these locomotives really are, which is something I think maybe sometimes we don't think about. I drew a little crop on this that you can probably see. I mean, I think that just cuts out, sorry. I think it just gets us a little bit, to the comparison faster.
Yeah.
And it kind of cuts out that extraneous top bit, but I don't know, other thoughts on this. I thought it was kind of fun. I mean, it definitely stood out in the mix, when I was looking through them. So
The only thing I was kind of disappointed in when I took it, I should have picked a car that wasn't white.
yeah. But
Yeah,
but it's not blown
Yeah.
out. Sorry, go ahead, Colin. Colin.
That's all right. I nearly took a photo of one of the model trains that my brother built that I got here from his collection. I've got a couple of them, but which would have been kind of, my problem was I would have had to get in so tight and so close that I'd have had to do a macro on just a piece of it, just so you can see the detail clearly. I mean, it's that minute, it's that small. I like this because he's able to get away from it a little bit. You can see all the detail in it. Plus, I'll tell you that one of my physics classes learned how a object in motion remains in motion by the professor using a toy train just like this. They wound up, and as it went went around the track, it blew air up out of the exhaust, and he put a ping pong ball in that column of air. As the train went around, that ping pong ball stayed right with that train the whole trip. It's kind of fun.
Yeah. That's funny. Any other thoughts? For Bill?
Was this your toy?
Yeah.
So did you get it as a kid?
Yeah, I don't remember how old I was when I got it, but I thought I didn't play with it very much. I recall it was kind of one of those things, you really couldn't do much but push it across the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, it looks to be, in excellent shape.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I think just a little bit of crop bill, I think it helps it out.
I agree.
Yeah. Nice work. All right. Mr. Calvin.
Oh no. Yeah, I did this out on K32. He was going full steam. I mean, he was going full bore right here. He was probably 70, somewhere 70, 80 mile an hour when he was going through here.
Yeah.
So he was moving. So yeah, that was the last time Big Boy was here in town about 4 years ago, I think. He was on his way back to Cheyenne in this shot. I will squeal on myself a little bit and tell you that in front of the train, in the background, there were several cars that were tracking him along the highway. I got rid of those, and I got rid of a lot of telephone poles and a lot of wires.
Okay.
Just to clean up the background, because there's so much clutter in there from all the other junk and people hanging out of the cars, kids and mom, dad hanging out of the car windows looking at this thing. So thought, yeah, I just wanted a clean shot of the train.
Well, and I think this a little bit tighter works better. I mean, I'm always going to crop people, just because I don't think that you need, sorry, this is not helpful. All right, review. All right. I don't think you need all this foreground necessarily to help tell the story. I mean, really, you want to get into the train and get into the smoke, as much as you can. Which is why, I mean, I think if you crop it like this,
Sure,
it's a little bit stronger.
sure.
But yeah, I've not tried to photograph too many moving trains, so I know it's hard. It's hard. So, but I mean, I think it's a nice image of a train in motion. And of course, obviously the billowing smoke kind of helps sell the motion.
Mm-hmm.
But any other thoughts on this one, folks? All right. I think that's it. So I liked Mr. Schultz's. Again, I liked the print. I liked the detail. Calvin, you know, I mean, yours was shot from a further distance, so I'll say that's kind of what suffered, is that you don't, you know, there's not as much detail to kind of get into on yours. Yours said better smoke, so we'll take a smoke from yours and put it on this one, and then we're golden. You know, but I mean, I really love, you know, the conductors hanging out. I mean, you know me, I like photos where I discover things the more I look at them. And so I gave Mr. Schultz a number 1 on this one. You know, I like the details on this. So I gave Mr. Lindell number 2. And then I thought that this was just an interesting shot. You know, I quibbled with the crop, but I gave this one a number Bill, I gave you a number 3 on this, 3rd place.
Thanks.
Yeah. So very fun category. All right. So the open category, we start with Calvin's, a glaring stare, which it's definitely a glaring stare. Any thoughts on this from folks? I mean, I can start off. I can just say that I go straight to the eye here when I look at this picture, and I think that's a good thing. You know, you run a risk just because the background could be a little bit distracting, but I think you've got enough separation between the bird and the background. You know, if I was in Photoshop, I would again, I'd try to bring down the background to bring, you know, so that he or she pops out more. But you do have, you know, it's a nice blurred background. But I mean, I would just bring it down a little bit, you know, just darken it. If I were to do another print.
Sure. I'll tell you, I was about 100, 150 feet away from this bird when I shot that.
Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was across the cove from me. He was over hunting something. You know, he had his eye on something over there that was moving around in the water.
Yeah.
But I shot this with my big lens.
Nice. Julie calls these
Yeah.
birds Freddy Kruegers because they come to her pond and just knock out all her fish.
Oh yeah. 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 And this is a juvenile. He was a young bird. Like I said, this was in the spring, I think spring of last year when I shot this one. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I mean,
I love shooting these herons. They're a beautiful bird.
oh, totally.
Yeah.
Well,
He was
I mean,
he'd been more mature. He had a long tuft of feathers, kind of
Yeah.
like a turkey beard hanging down off his breast. But yeah, he's juvenile. His beard there is not even really developed yet.
well, I mean, you've got a nice kind of like dark shadow here, you know, which is a nice contrast from the background, and you know, the eye really does pop. So I think that's fun.
And he was face on right into the sun.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. So
you trained him
well,
for
like
that.
that. Yeah, I got a lot of good detail in his face and his eyes
Yeah.
just because he was straight into the sunlight.
For sure.
What was the color image like?
I'm trying to remember the color of the background, if it was still kind of brown background, but the bird was beautiful. He goes from he's got the white on his face, you can see, but then the darker parts of his plumage is kind of a blue to darker blue, and he's got some blacks in there, you know. They are a pretty bird.
They
So
are.
did it pop from the background more in color?
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember how much it changed. It might a little bit, because the background, say this is early in the spring last year, so the background, the foliage on that hillside behind it was mostly dormant, so there wasn't any it wasn't greened up well. It was pretty early in the year when I got this.
Okay. All right, Bill. I don't think Bill's on the call though.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry, Bill.
No, that's okay. This is a landscape I took in Big Bend National Park in Texas.
Okay.
That was taken last month, so
There you are, Bill. I'm sorry, I just expanded my screen. So you kind of did a sepia tone.
correct.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't played with sepia tone much, so this is interesting. Very desolate. I mean, I think the sepia tone really contributes to kind of that feeling as well.
Right, right.
Any thoughts from the other folks on the call?
Did you just stop along the side of the road and climb the hill and take the shot, Bill?
Yeah, pretty much, James. Yeah.
Where's your car, Bill? No.
Yeah, we did a lot of quick shooting along the roadway there. So
Mhm.
running and gunning, basically. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I like the separation you've got in the background. It's light, but it's also separated. You can
Mhm.
tell.
That's a good point. Yeah. I almost
It's
wish
hard
the
for
car.
that much.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Bill, it's hard for me to say a bunch about this because I'm looking at this on my phone. So I'm looking at a pretty small image. What I see looks good, but I really can't pick out detail because I'm looking at such a small image.
I mean,
Yeah, I keep, coming back to that bush right in the front. And I do that strong detail in the foreground versus the softening as you recede. And the thing is I get that a real feel of depth,
yeah.
in the image that way.
No, it's a good point. Yeah, I've got a lot of nice kind of like you feel the texture here, and then it gradually kind of softens as it flows, off into the distance. That's a really good point. Now, you just need a car or someone hitchhiking. We can all dream, right? All right. Mr. Dennis, who is not on the call. Okay. Open category, unusual coloring for sure. The thing I like about this is that I keep coming back to it and I'm like, what is this? What is this? What is this? I do like, this center focus here on this strange, I call it strange hook. I really don't ever get to what it finally is, which is okay. I like the mystery. I'm not a fan of the color, to be quite frank. I think a straight black and white might have been better. To kind of, because I got caught up in the color and not caught up in the subject, but that was just me. I'm curious what.
Yeah, I looked at that. I don't know if that's part of a steam locomotive, like a coupler, or
That's what I
I
think
have
it
no idea
is,
what that
Kevin.
is. I'm with
That's
you.
what
I
it
don't
looks.
know.
That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
Looks like a coupler.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, and the border is a little distractive. But The composition of it though is, I like that. You know,
James, I'm with you. I mean, I'm almost wondering if it's too much. If it's too much with the border and the extra color. No,
Yeah.
the subject alone kind of stands on its own. So I mean, if this was pure black and white with that border, I think I'd be okay. Just a thought. But yeah, it's kind of like maybe there's just too much going on. I do want to know what the hell this is. I
Yeah.
love,
it is a coupler of some sort, but I don't know what it's attached to.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to assume that maybe that's part of the same caboose or whatever it was he took a picture of, you know, for the assigned category.
Oops. Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. I'd really love to see this in black and white because I think it would just be really, really interesting. But I mean, props for, you know, trying different colors, props for, you know, I mean, a good border is always interesting to me. You know, and the composition I think is pretty strong. And the fact that we've been talking about it for 5 minutes and we still don't know what it is. I kind of like that. Nice. Okay. All right, Bill.
Hey, this is one of our bedrooms. That's a post from an antique brass bed, and sewing machine in the background is a new home, belonged to my wife's grandmother, and then my daughter refinished it. And I don't know, I just like the light coming in, just afternoon light.
I love the light, Bill. I also love kind of I mean, this is a really bold composition, which I really appreciate. You know, I mean, first when I read, you know, the caption that's about the sewing machine, I was like, no, it's more about the brass bed, you know, or I'm assuming brass, but again, the more I looked at this image, the more there was to kind of unpack. And like, I love the lace over here. I love that texture.
Yeah.
You know, this is an interesting mashup, I think, of past and present too. You know, because you've got, you know, I mean, I do this with my trash cans too. You got the plastic over a very modern trash can. You've got probably the 100-year-old sewing machine, I'm guessing. You've
Yeah.
got the water pitcher in the basin. You know, the chair's probably 50 years old, maybe. And then you've got this great bed, but it's a real interesting composition, Bill. I mean, it's one of the more interesting compositions I've seen in a while. It's really fun.
One thing I wondered about after I turned this in was the whether I should have left the trash can there. I didn't really notice that it was there until you know, around to turning it in. But
I'd love to hear other people's thoughts on that.
I love that. I like the trash can, Bill, but I would have gotten rid of the plastic bag.
Yeah. That's what I was gonna say.
That's what bothers me the most. I
Yeah,
would have liked to have seen if there was any light on that would separate the rim of that trash can without that bag on it to see, you know. But that would be my only comment. I would have gotten rid of the bag.
well, if I was doing it over again, we've got a kind of a straw mesh trash can. I would have substituted that
Yeah.
bag.
yeah, that would work.
I sure like all the tones in it, Bill. Very pretty.
I do too. Yeah, I'm a sucker for shadow. I mean, I love this window light here, or the shadow from the window light there. I mean,
Yeah, it balances out the white corner you know,
Yeah.
the lace covering.
Yeah.
It balances the two. And if you cover up the trash can, then it works really well.
I mean, you guys know that it was kind of leaned on the journalistic side. I think it's funny that you have the trash can there, because it just takes it from today all the way to yesterday. But it's like you've got like antique trash can, plastic. It's just sort of just sort of smacks you in the face. It's like you've got this beautiful bedpost, this beautiful woodwork here that's highlighting nicely, the top of it's beautiful, and then your plastic waste. It's kind of fun. Yeah, kind of well seen, Bill. I mean, this is unusual. It's fun.
Thanks.
There's probably an image in here that I'm curious about on the bottom right, with that light and the lace, and I don't
That's,
know.
it's also an antique bed cover. I think my wife's aunt made it.
Oh wow.
It's
Okay.
very pretty, Bill.
Yeah, it is. It's very cool. All right, Mr. James, the fishies.
There were several photos that I wanted to send in, and I couldn't figure out just which one I kind of wanted to pull, for this last month. Anyway, so I asked the wife and I asked the kid, I sit and said, out of these 3 or 4 here, what is it that you see or you like in it? And I was surprised that when both my son and my wife sit there and said, well, the fish are, there's a lot of movement. It just kind of goes round and round because of that dark hole kind of in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And I go, oh, all right, that's kind of cool. So anyway, I ended up going eeny, meeny, miny, mo. And that's the thing that after I saw it on the screen, after I had posted it, I did exactly what you're doing there and cropped it in tighter.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other thing is that I noticed that when I was looking at it before I entered it, the sharpness was a little too strong. So I tried to blur it up a little bit, and now I'm wishing that I kept it tight, sharper. But because every time I post something, it's never the way that I see it on my screen, versus the location that I've sent it.
For sure. I mean,
So,
on this composition, I think that's too tight. Obviously this is too tight. I like kind of like, we're escaping maybe on the upper left. It's kind of interesting. So I mean, I do that to me adds interest, because I think maybe some people would naturally just think, well, I just need to do this, and just focus on it. But I think this upper left adds a bit of complexity to it overall that I like. The thing I wish we had here was like some grouping of fish, like maybe in the middle, really kind of, I mean, it's a perfect world, but just some sort of more of a focal point. I mean, you do have a bit of a focal point here because of this blank area. Your eye kind of sees a pattern and then it goes in here, which is nice. But yeah, it's like I mean, I almost kind of wish for just a little more, you know, eye contact with a few more fish, I guess. But, you know, that's just something you just got to sit there and shoot. You know, the other thing I would have been trying to do myself is maybe a slower shutter speed for a different effect. That's a totally different photo, you know, of them just kind of swimming around. That's going to be more abstract than this, but just a few thoughts off the top. Others?
Yeah, some of the other shots that I have, there's close to somewhat of this kind. There's 2 ducks in it.
Oh,
And anyway, but there was something, now I don't recall just what it is that bothered me more about that and as opposed to this one. So
That's a shot I've always wanted to take. I just haven't been able to find the fish.
I got this shot at the Omaha Zoo, and you're shooting from a bridge, you know, straight down.
Right.
And anyway, the time that I went there to try to do that, get that shot again, they had almost emptied the whole pond of these fish. So anyway, which is a shame because the kids, I mean, they were throwing, you know, fish food in like crazy, and those carp, they like it, boy. They go after that stuff.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think it's just a matter of trying to shoot it and getting, you know, the right pattern. You know, it's going to take patience. But I mean, I do appreciate the nice values in this print. You know, it looks good. Oop. Open. All right. I think that, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep. Okay. Okay. So here's where I landed. With everything that's going on in this image from Bill, I went with Bill for 1. I like the bird for 2. And then I love the fish for 3. That's kind of where I landed on that. 2 and 3 I can almost flip back and forth, but you know, I think what won out is kind of the strong, you know, look of this bird. You know, I've got a very strong central focus point. You know, but I do love, I mean, like I would hang this picture on my wall. I mean, this is fun, James. And it's a beautiful print, but yeah, some nice work, some out of the box thinking work, and the prints are great. This is fun. This was a fun one to judge.
Now, how do we get some of our old crew to re-enter some images?
What do you mean?
Oh, I sit there and I think of some of the people that we haven't seen any work from for a couple or 3 years that I really thought were really strong photographers, and I really liked and enjoyed looking at their images, and just like to try to entice them back somehow.
Yeah, I don't know what the secret is, because we got some that just don't do anything, or they don't put anything in. Yeah, sorry, I missed the last third of that of the open judging. I lost all audio. I couldn't get it I couldn't get it to come back on. I ended up having to restart my phone and then join the meeting again. So anyway, I'm back. I take it you can hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't hear anything. I couldn't hear nothing. When you got the bills open, Brent, I heard nothing from that point on. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, I agree. We, trying to get some of our other members to get more active. I don't know what the secret is. I mean, I'm not going to drag them by the collar and say, "Come on, get in here." I don't know. I encourage everybody that I can. I want to send out the messages about our meetings, but for whatever reason, got a lot of people just don't participate.
It's tough. I mean, I run a storytelling critique session for anyone who wants to join across the company, where we watch 3 videos, typically around a theme, and then we talk about them. And I mean, despite it being open to the entire company, reporters, photographers, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a videographer to play, because it's about storytelling. We watch videos. Does this video tell a story? We can, critique lighting and all that, composition all day. But, the main thing I'm trying to get across is that, does it convey an interesting story? And so, I've had in the past all kinds of editors, reporters, and folks chime in, and they've been valuable sessions, I think. But I really have a core group of, like what you have now, of about 5 or 6 people, and it's a good group. It's, and I don't know how to expand it. I mean, I know everyone's busy, but I mean, I don't know, if it's a different day. I don't know if there's some type of incentive, but, I'm trying to figure that out too, to be quite frank, how to get more people to involve and engage on a daily basis, or not daily, sorry, a weekly basis.
Yeah, I know in the past we've kicked around different days of the week. Always kind of settle on the second Wednesday of the month. That's where, seems to be the most open day for about everybody. We've had a couple of photographers who have joined, but they just don't put any work out. I mean, they just don't do anything. Wish they would.
What
Really
about
wish they
some
would.
of the other photo clubs, around the neighborhood, around the metro area? What is their attendance like?
Not too good, actually. Our Johnson County Camera Club folded because we couldn't get officers.
Really?
Digital Dimensions, I think, is headed the same direction, because they've got essentially the guy that was president for a number of years dropped out, and the woman who's vice president took over. But it's not the biggest problem, I think, in a lot of clubs, and this ours included, is people are too old. I hate to put it that way, but
Yeah,
when I joined Wyandotte, I was probably one of the youngest. I was back in the '80s, and I was one of the youngest members in the club. But at that time, it was a wet darkroom, and I joined because I was interested in learning darkroom technique, and I got a lot out of it. But I don't know that maybe younger people feel they know it all. I don't know.
so I need the critique if I want my work to grow, and for me to grow. I need the feedback, as to, how do I improve? What's good and what's bad, and so that's what I really kind of look forward to.
Yeah.
And I've had, especially in some of my art classes, I mean, they've been some pretty vicious critiques, but at the same time, if you can take that stuff and apply it to the next piece and the next piece and the next piece, if you don't have that kind of stuff, you're going to continue just to keep making the same sort of, I don't want to say necessarily mistakes, but they're not the things that keep something strong. So,
Sure, I agree with you. I like to get the critique feedback. Otherwise, you get into a mindset or what I would refer to like tunnel vision, and you're only looking at it one way and one way only, and you keep doing that. You know, you need to break out of that box a little bit and learn what works good, what doesn't work so good, and you know what. I agree with what you're saying, James. You know that feedback, that critique really helps.
yeah. Yeah, I take a look at some of the work that I was doing when, when I first started versus what I've gotten out of the club now. I still feel there's a long ways to go, but still, I've come a long ways, I feel. So, and that's been, I think, mostly due to all the feedback, from various points of views, so I miss all the gang.
Sure.
Well, and another thing that's a problem too is like Donna Long lived in St. Joe, and what's her name? Russell lives in the Ozarks, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yes,
And of course, Jim Jones is up in years, lives in Chillicothe, and that's a long haul.
Yeah. So, but, if they don't have, the means to Zoom, I could see, but, you could do this from Florida.
Yeah.
So, and you could do like what we were doing this evening. You can crop and zoom and everything and start to really get into the piece, to analyze.
I'm
So,
doing it from my van.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
for what it's worth, James, my laptop crapped out on me about an hour before the meeting. I'm coming to you guys tonight through my cell phone.
yeah,
You know,
I probably wouldn't be able to figure that one out, but, but anyway. So I don't,
I think the biggest thing is that people just don't. This isn't a priority. It's a side gig, side hobby, and there's just so many things going on in people's lives nowadays. It's tough. I mean, like myself, like tonight, I'm closing on my new house. I'm trying to get my old house packed up. It's just a lot of life gets in the way of having some fun sometimes, and people, just find other things to do that seem to be more important. But and I think enjoying your own art and enjoying other people's art is a good way to relax and a good way to get your mind centered in other things other than day-to-day life. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get some more people in.
Yeah, I'll tell you that the most enjoyable half hour to 40 minutes of my week, is the storytelling critique session that I do. And, because it's a good group of folks. We get together, we constantly like learn something, push each other, and usually in the critiques, I kind of have a mission, behind what I've chosen, because I want to push, the folks to try X. It's like I want to inspire them to try to do drone shots in a different way, or to mix their drone shots with shots on the ground. So I try to lead by example. We do a lot of explanatory videos, so like I'll do a session on, well, here's 3 explanatory videos, but one's done with text, one's done with a voiceover, and one's done with just music, or something like that. So it's trying to like show the different examples of how you can do the same thing under one topic. So, I mean, I think what is incredibly valuable in photography is, when I'd go out and I'd shoot the same event that maybe 2 or 3 other outlets were doing back when we had multiple outlets, and I'd be like, oh, damn, it's like that newspaper kicked my butt, in terms of how they shot it, but we all shot the same thing. And it was always instructive for me, to kind of see how they interpreted it, because that if you have 5 people with 5 cameras, you're going to get 5 different shots no matter what, and I think that that's instructive. It's like, oh, they told the story better. Oh, they saw the light and the shadow of, Bob Dole against the wall. It's a real example, but, that I missed, it's like, what did they see that I missed? Which is kind of fun, which is why I like, these type of critiques. I mean, I just think they're so valuable. And, exactly what you were saying, James, it's just that, you can learn and grow so much from just a short critique session. So, I think it might just be, kind of pushing it back out there, trying to get people to participate. Again, it's just kind of that constant drumbeat. I mean, I literally invite people. Well, in fact, I will choose people that haven't shown up to the sessions and say, hey, I'm watching 3 of your videos today, or I'm watching a video of yours today. Why don't you come and participate? So, and it might be to kind of work with some of the other camera clubs too. And I mean, really turn it into kind of a workshop, a session. And maybe that's only once every other month. I don't know. It's like maybe you do some other things in between, but, really make it a thing. And, you can have a little panel of judges, like maybe 3 judges that are kind of like gang tackling, a critique session. But I'm willing to try to help you guys push this any way you want to, because I think it's fun and valuable, and it's I love it. I mean, I love to talk about technique and photography, and show me what I'm not remembering or thinking about. I mean, that is so invaluable to me as as a creative. It's like, we did a session today where we had Randy Mason. You might know him from public television days, and I had 5 other people from across the country critiquing him. Some of them have 2 years of experience, some of them have 10. Randy's got 40 or whatever, but Randy was like, okay, they all kind of picked me apart on some things that I've been thinking about, and he took it in, he absorbed it, and he really appreciated it. And it was a very valuable session. Anyway, my 2 cents.
Sure. Yeah. Cause I mean, as long as I've been shooting photos, and even I'm sure everybody else will say the same thing, that no matter how long you've been shooting or doing this, there's always somebody who's going to look at that with a little bit different view and point out something that you're just like, I missed that, or I could have made that a lot better,
Yeah.
So it's like you mentioned on my shot of the train, if I had cropped, got a little bit more detail,
Yeah,
it's been a better shot. And I appreciate that, because that helps me going down the road. The next time I'll try to get in a little tighter on that thing.
yeah. I mean, like James's shot, I mean, is just so detailed.
Sure.
There's so much to look at, and you get the conductor as a bonus, kind of leaning out. He looks like an old grizzled, even though he's like 1 gazillionth of that frame. I mean, it's still a cool detail. So, yeah.
One of
You're doing some great work. You really are. It's really fun to see. You guys are really doing some nice stuff. It's really, really, really cool.
I've been trying to analyze, my images just exactly. Okay, what are you trying to say?
Yes.
Is this just an image of an object, or is there something that you're trying to pull out, and whether or not the viewer sees the same thing, or do they see something totally different, than what, and you kind of go, oh, well, I've had, like with some of my paintings and stuff, that people have seen something in it that, oh crap, I had no idea that I did that. So that feedback, no matter, what the medium or media is, that you need that, so anyway.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Well, appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you, folks.
Thank you, Todd.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you.
Appreciate your critique. Sorry to say I didn't really specifically shoot one for Todd on this go around, but if the hair looks good, call that one for Todd,
I love
I'll
that
never
guy.
forget
He
that.
cracked me up, man.
You doing that. You told us that one time. Next time, shoot one for Todd. I thought, okay.
And you did. I know. That was so funny.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That was a night I put that one in. They had a shot of these real high clouds and the moon up there. And you looked at that and you look at me and says, okay, I know you're not in the space program. What the hell did you do here? If you remember that or not, but
Yeah,
that was two shots put together,
that was funny.
Yeah.
Well,
I gotta
You
run.
guys have a good
Everybody have a good summer.
summer break. Yeah.
I gotta go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
thanks everyone. See you. I'll see you on the other side of the break.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
right.
I'll get a
Everybody
list
take
out to
care.
you. I'll get a list
Bye.
out to you, Todd,
All right.
so let you take a pick from there and
Sounds good.
we'll go that route. Is there any
Thanks,
particular
Todd.
month? Is there any particular month that you're busy or not so busy, or is it just
Catch as catch can, man. We'll just schedule it and we'll do it. So.
okay?
All right.
Okay.
Good night,
All right,
everyone.
guys.
Everybody be well
Thank
and
you.
be safe.
You bet.
See you there. Bye.